Jennifer Rempel. I'm the Information Literacy and Resource Access Librarian here at AU. If you have questions about the session, you can email library@athabascau.ca. That's our main help desk. And the reason it's good to contact them is because we can kind of triage questions as they come in. So maybe somebody else can answer a question, or you have an unrelated topic, or you need reference help. It's best to email the library. If you want to contact me directly, you can look me up on the website too. All right, so what will we cover today? We're going to do a brief review. Last week, Jessica did a session on, it was a library orientation. I'm not sure if either of you attended, but that's okay. Don't got to worry about it. That material is available online as well. So we'll do a little bit of a review. Oh, welcome. We have a new person in the session. Hello. We're going to do a bit of a review of the session at first. The first session, just on what are parts of a article and a citation, that kind of thing. We'll look at the key search tools we have on our homepage, which is a bit of a review of last week. But the main thing we'll focus on is finding full text. So we'll go over the steps to finding full text, and we will talk about interlibrary loans. That's an important service that a lot of students are not aware of. So anytime you have questions, you can go ahead and pop those in the chat. All right, so what are going to be our key takeaways from this session? You should be able to, as you might already be able to anyway, identify parts of a journal article citation and think about and identify which tools you might need to find a resource. You'll come away with an understanding of how our search tools work, and then you should ideally be able to apply this understanding of search tools to go ahead and find or request full text resources. All right, so a bit of a recap of our orientation. So we have a library catalog and our library databases. So what is the main difference? And again, I'll be doing live demos too, so I'll show you this too. So our library catalog specifically is items we own, usually physical materials. So these are print books. E-books are in our catalog. The ownership there is a bit different, but we subscribe and we provide access that way. You'll find e-books, print books in the catalog, DVDs, CDs, physical materials like course kits, things like this. Our library databases are fully online, and these are collections of subscription periodicals, including things like academic and scholarly journals, newspapers, trade journals, magazines, and a lot more you can find in our databases. So I'm going to have a bit of a step back too, just to probably a refresher for all of us here, but just to clarify, so articles are original studies that are written by experts, which are collected in journals. So journals are collections of published articles about a specific topic, and journals are often peer-reviewed, not always, but usually they're going to be. And then databases, of course, are a further collection of all of those journals, which you can access through the library. Oh, welcome. Got another entry in the session. Good to see you. We're just doing a brief recap of articles, journals, and databases. All right. So what I want to focus on really quickly, because you'll need this information going forward to find what you need, just to review the parts of a journal article citation. Again, a lot of you are probably familiar with this, but still good to review. So you're going to find there the author or author names, the publication date of the article, the title of the article, the title of the journal it was published in, and this is going to be important, the volume and issue numbers, if they're available, as well as the page numbers of the article, and of course, a digital object identifier, or DOI, or URL. And we'll talk more about DOIs later too. But typically, your citations will include all this information. So this is, I hope you can see it, as a brief example of if you are looking at an article in probably PDF format, just to see where you can find this information. So typically, if you're looking at an article, you can find citation information in various spots. Usually at the top of the page, you can clearly see the title of the article, the authors, all these things. Captions, I'm not sure. I've set on transcribe, so I'm not sure if captions are available. What I can do when the session's over, I can post the script and the PowerPoint for you to look at later. And I'll show you where to find that in a moment, or towards the end of the session. So unfortunately, I'm not sure. You can maybe look at your options in Teams and see if the captions are available, but I'm not sure. The video will have that. We'll have transcriptions. All right, so basically you can find citation information all over the place. This is presuming you already have the PDF, but this session, of course, is presuming that you don't. So when you're looking for a journal article, you want to look at the parts of it just to determine what information you need. Of course, you'll need all of this stuff. So this is an article that's in APA, excuse me, format. You can see here I've included the authors, 2 in this case, the publication date, again, the title of the article, the title of the journal, again, you want to keep those distinct, our volume and issue numbers, our page numbers, and finally the DOI/URL. This happens to have one. So this information will be very useful going forward. So now let's look at our main search tools. We'll take it back a bit to look at the library and what we offer. So you might know our main search tool right now on the homepage is Discover. Okay, so Discover is a huge meta search tool that links you off to a lot of different resources, which we'll talk about in a sec. We also have our, Discover, and this is where you're going to find scholarly and non-scholarly materials. So Discover has a lot of stuff in it, right? It's pulling information from our databases as well as the web and things like institutional repositories online. So Discover is a huge, huge metadata repository. Doesn't necessarily have full text though. And you can find Discover on our library homepage. This is the first tab here, Discover Search. Most of you will probably begin your research there. So again, the way it works, Discover is not a database itself. It's what we call a meta search tool. So as I said, it's pulling in what we call metadata. So all that publication information I was talking about, Discover is pulling that in, and it's also pulling in data from our library catalog. So the library catalog is distinct because we're creating this manually, basically, or we pull in ebook records. So we have metadata from databases here. So we call them our vendors. So we have different database providers. These include ScienceDirect, Wiley, EBSCO, ProQuest. Very, very many publishers provide access to journals. So there's metadata all over the place, right? It's from our library catalog, from our vendor websites, our publishers, and from the web, right? So you're getting metadata from all over the place, and this is all going into Discover. And now, when it comes to full text, it's a bit hard to see, but you can see what is going on now is we have a tool called WebBridge, and we have a couple of other ones too. And what these tools are is they're linking tools. So Discover has all this metadata, but not necessarily full text. To get full text links, we have this special tool that then, if we have an article, if it's available in our collections, it will usually link you to the full text within a specific database. So it's a bit circular. You see the metadata isn't necessarily connected to the database. It's being pulled from somewhere and then linked to stuff in our databases if they're available. The thing to remember about Discover is we might not necessarily have something you found there, but we can probably get it for you. We'll talk about that in a moment. And again, so to go on, our other search tools are the databases themselves. So Discover is a meta search, not a database, but we actually do have over 250 databases, again, which we link from full text. And these are going to include the scholarly materials, conference papers, things like this. You can find those on the home page as well. If you go to Find Databases and click on that little home there, Find Databases link again, it'll take you to a list of all of our databases. And we'll talk about that and demonstrate that later. Our other search tool, the third tab, is our journal title search. So this is useful for you because what this is basically a list of all of the journals we subscribe to. So they may or may not be available, and this list will tell you if we have access to it or not, and it will demonstrate the dates of coverage available. So if we have access to a specific journal from, say, 1990 to now, it will let you know. And this is the third tab on the homepage. And again, I'll be doing demos in a moment. And finally, we have, or actually, I want to demonstrate Google Scholar as well. So this is for articles too. So Google Scholar is useful. It also crawls the web for metadata and publication information, and we'll try to link you to full text if possible. Surprising amount of full text on the open web, usually from things like repositories that a university is set up, things like this. Google Scholar is useful and can be a quick way to find full text. And I will demonstrate this as well. This is what Google Scholar looks like. I'm not sure if any of you are familiar or if you use it, but can be a valuable tool. And we have our library catalog. As I mentioned, these are all of our books and ebooks. What I would suggest is if you're looking for books, you can find books in Discover as well. Our catalog information is there, but I tend to go to library catalog for books specifically because it's more of a sure search. Like it's more likely to be accurate, whereas Discover, you could be finding a book that looks good, but we might not have access to it right away. So I also want to mention the Internet Archive. This is totally separate from the library. It is a nonprofit organization that digitizes books, documents, videos, web pages. There's a ton of stuff on Internet Archive. Can be a good place to find books. You know, we're an online university. We try to provide things in an online format, ebooks. We have a lot of print books that we'll mail to you, but some things, we don't have everything, right? We're a relatively small library. So Internet Archive is very useful. And again, you can find this on our databases list as well, or you can go directly to it on the open web, which I will show you later. All right, so we'll get into finding actual full text. So I want to give you a few steps that you can follow. The first one that you might find useful is checking the DOI. If you happen to have a citation for an item, you can look at that digital object identifier. So what that is it is academic articles that are published are assigned, usually, not all of them have them, you're usually assigned a digital object identifier. This is the place you can find the article sort of on its home page. If it was published in, say, a Wiley journal, it will be, if you follow that DOI, it'll take you to the journal, or sorry, it'll take you to the article within the journal's homepage provided by a database, but it might not be accessible because everything is behind paywalls as well. So this is what you'll discover as we go through. A lot of material is behind a paywall. To get to it, you will have to navigate through the library homepage, and this will be more clear as I demonstrate. You can then check and discover. If there's an article that you haven't found there that maybe you found elsewhere, you can do a search in Discover for that item and see if we have it that way. You can check Google Scholar. I'm kind of ranking things most convenient to least convenient in a sense, right? Depending on what you look for. Google Scholar can be a very fast way to find full text as well. You can also do a journal titles search. So that will take you directly into the databases where you can find that article or item within the database that published it, or the vendor that published it, right? Provides the database access. If it's a book or a book chapter, you can check our library catalog, as I mentioned, and then, of course, the Internet Archive for books or book chapters if we don't have them available online and you prefer a more convenient access. And finally, we have interlibrary loans. So basically, because we mentioned we're a small library, most libraries cannot afford the publication, the fees. So all these databases we subscribe to cost a huge amount of money, right? So we can't subscribe to everything. So there may be journals we don't have access to, but if it's an article or a book chapter that can be scanned and emailed, we can get it for you from another library through interlibrary loan. So anything we don't have, I won't say everything, but most things we don't have, we can probably get for you. One of my takeaways is don't pay for anything. You see, these paywalls for articles are extremely expensive. You might pay $50 to access an article for a week or two, right? Very expensive. All right, so we're going to do some demos now really quickly, so I will be sharing my screen. I wanted to show you this citation. This is the same one from earlier. I'm going to demonstrate really quickly the DOI function. So let me just copy paste that URL. So again, the DOI is the digital object identifier. So I hope everyone can see my screen. Oh. Okay, so I've copied and pasted. Oh, this is really irritating. I've copied and pasted the DOI, so I can really just put that in my search box and see what happens. So this is the DOI. It's also a URL. So what the DOI is, it directs you on the web to the place that this item is located. So this is located in the journal Environmental Education Research. This is, I believe, Wiley publication. Oh, Taylor and Francis, yep, TNF. In this case, the DOI is helpful because this item was published open access, right? So you can view the PDF right there, and there it is. Pretty easy. It'll download eventually, right? So there's the whole thing. I put in the DOI, got taken right to it on the web. How does that work? Well, in this case, the article was published open access. So that means the authors paid, or their research organization paid a fee to have the article published open access right away, which means that you don't need a subscription to read this article, right? So instead of us paying for it, they're paying for it, and then we can access it for free online. Open access is increasing, but most things are still behind paywalls. So the DOI can be very useful if you want something that's open access, but you don't always know that until you go to the website, right? So in this case, you wouldn't maybe even know it was open access until you click the DOI. Just a quick note about DOIs. Like I said, not every article has them. Articles published, say, in the 90s or earlier probably won't have them. Sometimes you will need to look up a DOI for an article that doesn't have one. So I just want to show you how to do that real quick. There's a really useful website called crossref.org. So if you go to crossref.org and click on search metadata, I think I missed a couple letters. You can put in the title of the article that you need a DOI for, and then search for it. And if it has a DOI, it will show you where it is. So this is being a little bit, I did misspell it, but they still found it, right? So in this case, there is a DOI. They were able to find it despite my typo, and here it is. But we knew that already, right? But this is useful to know if you need a DOI and can't find it. If there's just no DOI at all, it won't show up here, so don't worry about it. You don't got to worry about the DOI in that case at all then for citing. All right, so going back now to our search, we're going to do some demos. So that was how to find an article using a DOI. I also want to show you now our live search, some live searches on our homepage. So again, hopefully you're familiar and comfortable with the library website. Again, this is where you can find databases. You can find all of them here. So we subscribe to all the big ones, right? Science Direct, CINAHL for nursing, I believe some education ones too. We have tons and tons of databases. Now, this is being a bit slow, but you can see now it loads all of them. And you can sort them by type of access, subject area, this kind of stuff. This is the list of all of our databases we have access to, which is a lot. But yes, so going back to Discover, I'm going to show you how to find things that may be trickier to find. So again, Discover can be a tricky search. So when I use Discover, oh yeah, one thing I want to stress here too is when you're looking for items in full text or doing research at all, you will have to go through the library homepage. Some publisher websites will say access through your institution and it'll have like a login. That never works because the way we are configured is for you to get access to subscription materials, you have to be logged in. So I prefer, and it's usually better, to go directly to the library homepage and then do an advanced search and then get prompted to log in. I've logged in already, so yeah. So I'm going to do a demo. This is our new Discover user interface. I found it to be all right. I'm going to just use this little search I came up with to show you a demonstration of not finding full text. So if you do a search, one thing you want to make sure you do is you get better results if you have a good search strategy to begin with. This is a basic search, but it's following this structure of ands and ors, the Boolean operators, right? So very basic one here, but this is what our results look like. So typically here you would see a full text, right? So in this case, these are articles that are probably new, talking about generative AI, newer articles, not seeing any full text anywhere, right? Sometimes you can click Access Now, and it will just directly open the PDF. But in this instance, you can see there's a lot of examples here where there is no full text, right? You can see access options, you can get the PDF or not. So one thing I want to point out is making sure you look at, let's see, where was the example I had? I had a specific one in mind, the evolving role. Yeah, let's see. Well, that's okay. We'll look at this one. So in this instance, as you can see, there is no full text option. So the first thing to do is look at the full record. So when you click on the title of the item, this is called the full record. It gives you a lot more information about where to find things. So in this case, it says it's published in IEEE Xplore Digital Library. This is a bit of a tricky one because you have to go to that database to get access. So you might not necessarily know that. The challenge with IEEE is a lot of the publishers don't like to share their information necessarily, or they haven't configured themselves to allow full text access through Discover. So in this case, it takes a few more steps. The IEEE example is a relatively easy one because it tells you what database it's in. Like, oh, perfect, IEEE Explorer, let's take a look. So if you go back to our databases page on the home page, you can see that we do in fact have access to IEEE. Just do a search there. This search is tricky, just be aware. It's very finicky. If you have any typos, it doesn't like it. So here's, oh, okay, the library does subscribe to IEEE. So let's see what happens when we go into the database. Now, this is a conference proceeding, I believe. So once you're in the database, you can take the title, and I like to put it within quotation marks. This will search the entire phrase as a single sentence. So again, we've gone to no full text to realizing, oh, it's an IEEE, and here it is. The PDF is right there. So it's just one extra step to go through to get to the PDF. That's a relatively simple one. I had another example here that I want to show. Journal title search. Yes. Okay. So I want to show you another way to find things. In this case, too, it's in IEEE Frontiers of Education Conference. This is the conference proceeding as well. So it's not quite a journal. It's not peer-reviewed, but it's the first step towards that. Somebody has done a presentation on this and published the conference proceedings. So it's a bit different than a journal article. But if I do another search here, which I can do for this term, oops, trying to use unique terms. So let's see. And now if we're looking for items, say on this term, and I had my example ready, yes. Again, lots of full text. I'm finding it pretty useful, the new UI, lots of links. In this instance, okay, no full text. Now what do I do? Again, go to the full record, and it gives you more information about where it was published. Again, it also shows you the journal it was published in and the database. So a couple of ways to get this. I could go to Science Direct directly, but I want to demonstrate the journal title search because I'm not sure, oh, do we even have access to this, right? So there's a link to the journal there too. My concern is, do we even subscribe to this journal? I'm not really sure. There's no full text. So I'm going to copy and paste the journal title. So again, this is the article title. What you want is the journal title. So we go back to our homepage, back to our searches, and journal title search. Again, reminder, this is a list of all of the journals that we have access to and where you can find them. And there's a couple of ways to search. Title begins with, this is just if I did current research, but that would be way too many results. Title equals, this is the exact title. So be very careful using that one. It does not like typos. Title contains all words. That's useful because say I'm interested in social psychology, I can type in just social psychology and I will see all of the journals that we subscribe to that have those words in the title. But anyway, we'll do the title equals in this case because we know what we want, a specific article here. And again, I could go to Science Direct, but this is also another way to do it. And again, a little slow. I think it doesn't like the video sharing, screen share. So we'll let that load. So as this is loading, you'll see the results and you'll see where we have access to this article. Oh, okay, this is useful to know too. If this happens, reload. Usually it will work on a second attempt. Because occasionally it times out. All right, here we are. Okay, so perfect. We see now we have access to this. In this case, these are open access journals. Again, open access, for whatever reason, they don't always give a direct link to open access journals within our searching system, probably because this would also be available on the open web. But you can see we have access to this journal from 2020 to the current day. So we should have access to this was published in 2023. So again, pretty straightforward. You would follow the link into the database, and then you can do a title search. So search within this journal. Oh, sorry, this is just giving information. Search is up here. Sometimes it takes a second. So I want to search for an article. Should use quotation marks, but we will see. This is a unique title. And here we are. Citation, journal, And we should have the full text. Yes, read online. So there we are. And again, the DOI probably would have worked, but there I just want to demonstrate a couple of ways to find things that you need. All right, so I want to go to Google Scholar a little bit too. Google Scholar is also a really quick way to see if an item is available. Like just for example, I want this full text. I often will just check here first because it's fast. Oh, one thing, I got to show you this first, sorry. So we're all on Google Scholar. We only have a couple minutes left, so it might be a bit of a rush. Hopefully everybody can stay, maybe a few minutes extra. So when you're in Google Scholar, the first thing you want to do, which I forgot to mention, is set up your AU library links. So here, click on these. I'm logged into my Gmail account. You do need a Gmail account to use Google Scholar, but it's worth it, I think. But to set up your links, you go on this little settings button here and click on settings. Here, you want to make sure you have your links going. And it's a bit slow today again. Yeah, I'm not sure. I believe it's my internet and it doesn't like the video share. Anyway, okay, so library links. Click on library links once you're in there and put in Athabasca. Search. And then you want to click both of these. Full text ProQuest, that's another provider we have. So you want to click both. This is the library's materials and ProQuest materials that are through the library. Then click Save. So this will save your settings. So do be aware, however, that if you clear cache and cookies, you have to go back and reset those settings. But once you do this, it makes it easier to find things. So an example I had, I think was that article. So you can take a look for full text here, and there it is. HTML. Open link a new tab. And you can see this is also available through ScienceDirect as well. So sometimes you will see articles are available in more than one database. And that's a good example there. And I had another one too, if we want to do a new search. I find Google Scholar useful for searching, but you don't want to put necessarily everything in there. So I'm going to do another one. Like you don't want to necessarily start your search there, but it can be useful. Nope, I, again, didn't spell that right. It probably would have auto-corrected, but that's okay. So you can do research in Google Scholar, and the useful thing about it is that there's a lot of material. The challenge is, of course, making sure we can actually track it down and find it. So in this example, let me just see which one I had picked. Right. Okay. When you're looking at your Google Scholar results, you can see where things are and what they are. This is a book. Probably don't have it. You can check our catalog, though. This PDF is available through JSTOR. You can click it there, find it that way. And in this case, as you can see, there is no link for the full text. So you can, again, I'll probably do a session on Google Scholar later on, but when you're looking at your results and you have the AU Library link selected, you can follow you can follow it, you can track it down in a few ways. A lot of times we don't have access, but this is published in a specific journal online that is probably open access. So just as an example, but in this case, I'm interested in this article, but there is no PDF at all. I click on the title, and what this will take me to is this article's page in JSTOR. So JSTOR is another database. So we do have access to JSTOR, but what I want to demonstrate is that not everything is going to be available at all times. So in this instance, this looks like a great article. It's from American Poetry Review, not available here. And again, what I want to demonstrate with JSTOR too is a lot of students will go directly to a database on the web, not through the library, and they will say, well, it says log in through your library. I should be able to log in here. Unfortunately, we are not configured that way. So you have to go through the library to get access in most cases, unless it's available on the web somewhere. So in this case, it's not. So I like this article, I want to read it. So what I'll do is I'll see if we have access, because we do have access to JSTOR. I could go to JSTOR through the library and search, but that will take some more time. So what I'm going to do instead is go back and do our journal title search, American Poetry Review. And what you'll see is we do have access, but only from 1989 to the present. So this article was published in 1984. So in this case, no access, right? You can always try a web search and see maybe somebody's put it online, but it's a relatively old article and it's not anywhere in PDF form. So in this case, what you want to do is interlibrary loan. So if you go here, get library support, another useful feature, go to guides, tutorials, and webinars. And what I like to do is just do a Control F, interlibrary loan, and you can see our interlibrary loan webpage. guide. So again, interlibrary loans, if an article doesn't have something, or sorry, the library doesn't have an article you need, we can probably track it down. So in this case, if you are either a student or a staff, you can go to these forums. If you go to the student forums, you will be asked to fill in or select which you want. Do you want an article, a book chapter, conference proceedings, whatever. In this case, it's an article. Fill in all the fields. Well, agree, fill in the form. And interlibrary loan is pretty fast. This is a JSTOR. Other libraries probably have access to this within their own collections. Something like this we could probably get for you pretty quickly. It usually only takes a day or two. So that's sort of it's covering a lot of the basics of finding full text using a variety of search features. Let me just see. I want to do one more search as well, just to show you Internet Archive. We're running a bit out of time, but that's all right. So going back to Google Scholar, I've done this quick search for cognitive behavioral therapy. I find that very interesting, and maybe there's books and stuff that I want, right? So the example I had picked was from 2006, is about therapy for OCD. Let's just see if I can find that example again. Yeah, here it is. Okay, this looks like a useful book, but again, books are also in Google Scholar, but for the most part, they're coming from Google Books, and unfortunately, Google Books only usually has snippets, right? So it's not going to have the full book, right? It's going to be blocked out, a lot of it, for copyright reasons. But if you take this and copy it and go to Internet Archive, which I should have bookmarked, but I forgot. Right, Internet Archive. Again, this is not associated with the library. It's an outside website, but it's useful for finding full text sometimes. In this case, I want to search for a book. So I click on the little book, and I'll see this. And what was the author's last name? Because there's a lot of books about that Clark. All right, let's see. So again, we'll do our search. And it's supposed to be, yeah, there it is right there. So again, Internet Archive is good. They also don't have everything. Books are a little bit trickier for interlibrary loan. So if there's a book chapter you need, we can get it. Graduate students are able to borrow full books through interlibrary loan. The reason why is because we're online. So say you're an undergraduate student, the loan period is 1 month. By the time we get a book from another library mailed to us, and then we mail it back to you, and you mail it back to us and back to them, it takes way too long. Grad students have a longer loan period. So we can get book chapters and we can get articles. But in this case, thankfully, this is online, so I can just read it here. Now, one thing to be aware of for Internet Archive, you do need to have an account with them. So it's pretty easy. You set up an account and you log in and borrow the book. You can read it for as long as you like. So this is sort of a rundown of how to find full text from a variety of locations. And now it's a bit of a fast one, so hopefully it was still informative. Now I'll go back to my chat here. I'll stop sharing. All right, so that was a bit of a whirlwind tour of finding full text. So did you have any specific questions? I know we've gone a bit over time, but if you have any specific questions you'd like me to go over in chat, that'd be good, if it's up to you. And I also, again, I believe in chat I had shared that handout. So the handout, oh yeah, one more thing I wanted to show you is our new webinar schedule. So next week, I think we missed some of our opportunities to promote this. Yeah, rewatch. Yeah, it was a really fast one. So it was a quick one. Next week, my colleague Joanna is doing a session on Search Like a Pro. This didn't go into searching at all. This was just, okay, if you have an item, how to find full text. Oh, thanks, Allison. I appreciate the feedback. Yep. If you got to rewatch it, no worries. So this is our webinar schedule. These upcoming ones. We have graduate sessions coming up. If you are undergrad, you are more than welcome to attend as well. Joanna's session next week is on the search strategies. So that will show you how to search. This one was more about, okay, how do I get to full text? Because a lot of students find it challenging because it is, like I said, a lot of layers of technology and places, where you can find things. The handout I sent to you also, I believe, has links to the things we talked about, particularly the interlibrary loan web forms and other things like not our webinars page. Well, sort of. It's our guides, tutorials, and webinars, right? So that's information about how the library works. We have FAQs. The key takeaway also, so I will say a couple of key takeaways, the ones I went over at the beginning, but also don't pay for anything. If you find things on the web that are expensive, that are articles, they charge a lot of money for access. So don't pay for anything. Get in touch with us first. If you absolutely can't find anything, like again, don't torture yourself. You can use these strategies to find what you need. If you're really struggling, just email us. It's totally fine. It's part of our job. We want to help you get what you need and ideally not have to pay for it. All right, so that was my tour of finding full text. Sorry I went a bit over time, and thank you all for attending.